And then we're looking at exercise recommendations for children with special populations. Team sports are sometimes less encouraged. It really depends on the condition. Just like we talked about with the congenital heart diseases, certain types of congenital heart diseases, the kids are not going to be cleared for any type of collision sport like football, especially if they've had surgeries where they've had their sternum cut into. So they may not, they're probably not going to be able to play football. So depending on their condition, they're probably going to need a physician clearance. Joining programs with other kids. So this is where there's a huge need, and so great job opportunities for you if you're, talented enough to be able to work with kids. So at school, there could eventually be some physical activity specialists at school. And that was part of what we did with our ZestQuest grant, is that we had a wellness coach in the schools. That person was Joni. So Joni was the person who was there as a supplement to the PE teacher. So they did activities, and we did, with them to improve their health, their nutrition, their sleep. She did kids yoga with them. She got them, playing, doing aerobic dance, and she was really fabulous with that. Of course, having an extra person in the schools means extra staffing and extra money, which that's always an issue here in schools. So something like that is very easy to cut. Once the funding ends, once the grant program ends, it's not sustainable. But in the future, we could eventually see more of that. There is also this huge need for kids to come to after school programs, because if they're overweight, if they've got some disabilities, there's less stigma involved with them being at school. Like, oh, these kids don't want to be singled out for the being overweight, so let them come to a place like the West Center after school where they can be with other kids, and it's a less stressful environment for them. If you're working with kids, and I know some of you and some of our students are interning at Carolina Pediatric Therapy, kids are going to need special care. They may be on medications, for their conditions, blood pressure, if they are obese, if they're taking ADHD medications, that can affect their heart rate. So, develop the skills, work with people who are more experienced in this than you so that you can learn from them. Kids are going to need special motivation and commitment, especially kids with disabilities and other special populations. The parents need education as well. The parents need to, need some training on what are some quick, healthy meals that they can do at home. It's just so easy to order pizza or go through the drive-through. And I think that's one thing that a lot of the students got out of the program, is that, balancing childcare, work, healthy meals. These parents are just trying to get any meal on the table, much less a healthy one, and how important it is. And how did families survive without grandparents, because many of the kids were picked up and dropped off by their grandparents. So we really enjoyed meeting them, and they got to see the real challenges of families. And some of the kids had two-parent homes, some of the kids had single-parent homes. So it's even more challenging in a single-parent home. And how do we get families to be active together, to cook together, simple things that they can do together. So very important. So overall, understand the differences between children and adults, the physiologic differences. Those could be some nice quiz or test questions. Slightly different exercise programming needs, 60 minutes per day. Know how to plot the BMI, use the BMI calculator. Kids can adapt to exercise. In fact, they should be doing aerobic training. They should be resistance training. So they should be doing all these things. And then here is our sample question. So we'll talk about these in class. What do you think is the correct answer for this? So that would be a good example of something we'd have on a quiz or test.